welcome to another Dynasty Nerds Team Audit Show. I'm your host, Rich Dotzer, and my fellow hosts and nerds, Jared Wackerly.
What up?
And Garrett Price.
How's it going?
It's going well. We're here looking at another Dynasty team. We're going to look at a team audit, right? Like, can we help a team rebuild? Can we help a team become a contender? Into the DynastyGM, we're going to input this team and see what we can do to help put him over the edge to get him where he needs to be. And that's a Dynasty Fantasy Football champion. And how are we auditing this team today? Well, we're doing it with a little help from our friends at PrizePicks. This show is sponsored by PrizePicks, and right now we're doing a great promo. If you go to PrizePicks and you use the promo code NERDS, not only are they going to match your deposit 100% up to $100, on top of that, we're going to send you a free Dynasty Nerds t-shirt, the most comfortable t-shirt in your world, guaranteed to increase your looks, your wardrobe, and your high five intake. And on top of that, we're going to enter you to have your chance to have your team audited on this Dynasty Nerds Team Audit series. Jared, tell our viewers how they have a chance not only to get sweet Dynasty Nerds gear, but also to get their team audited by making a sweet pick on PrizePicks.
Yeah, so in the show description, in the show notes down below, there'll be a link for a Google form. You just click that, fill out the information, let us know what size t-shirt you are, what your Sleeper username is. And we got to do it on Sleeper because we can sync MFL leagues with our DynastyGM tool, but I need your login and your password. I don't want to ask for your password. Send us your address so we know where to ship to. And in this audit today, we have Juneau73 here. And currently we are in the Dynasty view in the DynastyGM. So he's sitting up top, guys. He's sitting at the top in the Dynasty view. But when we switch it over to contender view here, he drops down to 5th from the top. So his question was, is he a contender or should he continue to rebuild? It seems like he's been in a rebuild here, but we'll take a look at his team.
Yeah, so first of all, Taco League, I would really like to know the backstory as to why it's called Taco League. That was intriguing right off the top because I love tacos. So that's important to know. So please reach out to us, Juno, and let us know about that. But other than that, let's get into this actual team. So let's take a look at his squad right now.
I'm going to flip back to Dynasty view.
Okay.
So currently at quarterback, he has Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Drew Lock.
Is this a super flex league, Jared?
This is a super flex, yes.
It says up top. Super flex tight end premium. You can see that on the top where it says team roster values. The DynastyGM will identify what your league is and all scoring methods. So it's definitely not generic. Every league will be picked up in the DynastyGM to let you know exactly how it's being scored. That way, you can evaluate your team accurately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we go down to running backs here. He's got DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, Damian Pierce, Kenneth Gainwell, Cordero Patterson, Jamal Williams, Naheem Hines. Wide receiver, he's got Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham, Christian Kirk, Tyler Boyd, Khalil Shakir, Paris Campbell, Denzel Mims, Traquan Smith. And then at tight end, he's got Pat Freiermuth, David Njoku, Noah Fant, Adam Trotman. In terms of draft picks, he's got all his firsts for the next 2 years. Doesn't look like the 2025s are in here just yet. They may not have had their. It looks like they did have their draft. They got Khalil Shakir in here, but I mean, overall, guys, it looks like he's been in a rebuild. His team is pretty young. Yeah. He's got some studs on his team.
Yeah, it's a young squad overall. The strengths of this team are at quarterback and receiver. Now, this is always a difficult spot to be in, and I've been in this spot myself before, where you've been doing the rebuild for a little bit, and your team's right on the cusp of becoming a contender. We saw in contender mode it was ranked 5th. Dynasty mode, though, it's number 1 overall, and you can see why with all of the young assets. The one thing that I'm always very hesitant to do when I'm right on the cusp here is I don't want to sell my young pieces for one big piece to try to put me over the top, because what happens is when you do that one big piece to put you over the top, all it takes is one injury and all of a sudden your entire rebuild is screwed, and you have to almost at times even start over because it sets you back that far. Great example. I had a team recently where I was in the same position. It was literally going into last year. I got a bunch of good offers for some good running backs. I had a really young team, loved my build, but I got some good offers for Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey. So I went all in. I traded all my picks. I traded a bunch of stuff for those two players, and those two players got hurt, and I didn't even make the playoffs. So that's something that you have to be careful of when you're in that sort of awkward in-between range. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a big decision in Dynasty, right? When to go for it. And a lot of times, like a team like this, you feel like you're really close. And he is. I mean, but he's also close because there's a lot of upside. Now, I'm immediately looking at this is Superflex League. How's his quarterback room look? So it's going to be great out high because he's young at quarterback. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow, Drew Lock. So it looks really good. It looks really strong, but he also just needs ups. I mean, there's upside there. There's no proven commodity besides Joe Burrow. His team's kind of full of that, like a lot of good dynasty assets, but not a lot of proven players. So this is a team, the way I look at it, Garrett, is, he could play this year out, right? And kind of see if these pieces fall into place and become a really, really good team that could compete for a while. Or he could use some of this upside to his advantage and maybe obtain a couple players that are a little bit more proven to help put him over the edge. Like, obviously, his quarterback room looks nice, but there's no for sure thing besides Burrow. His tight end room has some upside. And a guy like in David Njoku, his running back DeAndre Swift, nice, but Travis Etienne, Damian Pierce, those are guys that he's looking at some upside there. Yeah, Pat Freiermuth, upside. So I'd like to know what your guys take, but honestly, my first instinct here, because for me, I'm trying to win, right? And it's easy to say, let's see how this played out. And I'd be okay with this team playing out this year to see how it looks. But being right around their 5, having all my draft capital, having all of this youth, I would definitely test the waters here to see if I can compete this year. And my first instinct, guys, is going back to that quarterback room, seeing Joe Burrow, seeing Zach Wilson, seeing Justin Fields. I'm like, I wonder if I can move maybe like the upside of one of my young receivers with the upside of one of my young QBs to get maybe a little bit older, and not too old, like not somebody's going to pan out here, wash out soon, but maybe a little bit more proven of a quarterback, and maybe get another quarterback and a tight end back, possibly something along those lines. Maybe a more proven running back.
Like a Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson type? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
That I think Matt Stafford be a good caliber player. Now, again, when you're playing in Dynasty, you're making trades. Like it's easy in a vacuum, to say out there like, well, you should trade Joe Blow for this guy, and you're like, well, the guy that has that guy would never trade him, or his team wouldn't do that. So this is what I love about this show, because you're really diving in and finding answers, these solutions. I mean, there's a lot of different ways this team can go because of what he has. I mean, look at his receiver room, Jared. I mean, we know Deebo's a stud, and we all like Michael Pittman to take a big step forward. We like Garrett Wilson, but he's not going to probably be a dominant receiver this year. We like Elijah Moore. He's got Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. To me, that screams like, okay, I have 2 assets here. I can move one of them, right? I got Zach Wilson, so I'd like to keep one of those for the stack. So maybe I can move Justin Fields and either Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson, but make him move Justin Fields and Elijah Moore, right? 2 dynasty darlings, 2 guys that have a ton of upside but haven't proven anything yet, that their name value alone should get us a really good return here to put us over the edge. And they're also young enough and the upside's there where we don't have to seek out a really old vet to put this team over the edge. And this team is still staying young enough to compete down for the future, because, I mean, look at some of these receivers. He's got outside those guys. Christian Kirk has some really good upside. We just talked about him on the Dynasty Nerds podcast as a buy. Rashad Bateman, some really good upside this year with all the air yards available for him. Almost over 2,300 yards in that Baltimore offense with over 160 targets. The 167 that are vacated by Marquise Brown. So there's some good assets here. I don't know what you guys think. Like, would you let this play out? Are you still trying to kind of go the rebuild process? Are you interested trying to help Juneau take another step forward and possibly sneak his way into the championship? I think he needs a quarterback to do that. So I think we would have to flip a quarterback if that's the answer you guys want to give.
Well, if I think my team's in the position to make the playoffs, which I think this team is, then I'm trying to ready myself to make a push for the ship. I think this team is, I mean, when we went to the contender view, he's 5th. So, I mean, this league itself is pretty like even in the middle here. So Rich, I kind of like your line of thinking there with maybe trying to offload one of these higher valued young guys and get a little more depth at running back because he's a little, he's a little low there in terms of value. And then maybe getting one of these older vets that we know can produce as a top 12 quarterback, but he's not viewed as highly because he's older.
All right, let's
look at these teams.
Yeah, let's look at some of these thirsty some bitches down there that need some of those quarterbacks. They got no quarterbacks down there. Look at them. I mean, those are the teams that are really you can kind of like take advantage of.
This guy's got Rodgers and Brady. This guy's got Tua, Malik, and Trask. I mean, he would love to get Justin Fields.
He would love to get Justin Fields for sure. Back. That's the problem. You're not getting a quarterback back from him.
Right.
So to me, I mean, he's eliminated off the list because if I'm moving a quarterback, I have to get one back. He has Derek Carr?
This guy, next guy.
Yeah, but I bet he probably views himself as a contender.
Where is he in Dynasty mode?
So
or in contender mode, I mean.
Brian.
Yeah, switch over to contender mode.
He's down 4th from the back.
Yeah, so that might be a good move to go after Derek Carr.
Who's that guy's quarterback right there? Brian Mish. He's got George Kittle, that could help our team. A little age vet. He might be willing to part with George Kittle for sure. His team's not contender. He's deep at wide receiver, so that kind of offsets that. Like maybe we get an older receiver back. Oh, there we go. That's
Matthew Stafford. That was a guy we were talking about before.
Oh, he's got Carson Wentz. That's it.
I think that was EB. I think Brian Mack. I think it's a little delayed for us, Jared, but I'm pretty sure Brian Mack had Derek Carr, right?
Let me flip back. No, Brian Mack did not. That was Mappa Kibir. I don't know how to say that name.
Okay, and where was that guy in contender mode?
4th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he wouldn't be as interested in doing that.
Who is Brian Mack's quarterbacks?
Even if you're a contender, some of these guys might still like the upside of Fields, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And who is his receivers? So who is that? Who's got to have Derek Carr's receivers?
Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, Cortland Sutton, John Mechie, AJ Green. I mean, he needs a receiver too, and he's pretty deep at running back. So
who's his tight end?
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, he's probably not dealing him.
Who's his backup tight end though?
He doesn't.
Let me switch back.
Oh, that's
Robert Tonyan, Greg Dulcich. Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's tight end premium, right? That could be a huge difference maker for this team.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really limited at running back there. I mean, he's got solid quarterbacks. His receiving core, if you go back up, Jared, his receiving core is a little, I mean, besides CeeDee Lamb on his receivers, this is a team that doesn't have, and Cortland Sutton's, he's taking Mechie, he's got Calvin Austin. This to me is this is a team I'm 100% sending a trade to. Will it go through? I don't know, but I think Derek Carr and Mark Andrews would be my targets on this team for sure. And you're right, he doesn't have a lot of depth there, but I think Justin Fields, Elijah Moore, specifically to him, or even a guy like Garrett Wilson could open that door to acquire a guy like Mark Andrews, and then getting Derek Carr back. I mean, you're essentially getting a better quarterback over the rookies that you have, a more proven player. They had Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. I mean, that's a quarterback who's coming off a quarterback one season. I think the biggest get here to me is Mark Andrews. And I think Mark Andrews, again, Mark Andrews, where we want a more proven receiver. Mark Andrews, if Mark Andrews was a receiver in PPR leagues last year, he would have finished as a top 6 fantasy football wide receiver. And yes, he won't be easy to get, but I think we have the assets to knock on that door and actually get somebody to open it up with a cup of tea waiting for us to invite us in to have a little chit chat. So, I mean, I'm down for a little tea party.
Let me start a trade. Let me start the trade here. That was with Mappa. Let me get Andrews in here. Derek Carr. Then we said Justin Fields.
And one
Justin
of the New York
Fields
receivers.
alone. We want to get him a receiver, right?
Yep.
So where did you guys feel on this? I mean, with this team, would you want to keep?
I'd want a little more back.
This is pretty even. I actually almost like the Mark Andrews side a little bit more with it being tight end premium.
Yeah, me too. And that's what I'm saying. That's not an easy asset to get, a 26-year-old top tier tight end. Definitely in our team where we could use a little bit more depth. And we have the upside of Freiermuth and Njoku for down the road, right? To offer that down the road.
Would you send Njoku back
Andrews
to sweeten the pot? Because that's his only tight end, really. He's got no one else, and he's still.
I would send Noah
and
Fant. I would send Noah. No, and David Njoku is about to get a long-term deal in Cleveland that's averaging about $13 million a year. So I think Fant's a better name there in Seattle. So I would offer Noah Fant 100%. And I like David Njoku's upside for the deal that he's about to get. Still only 24 years old, 25 years old. So I think offering Fant puts us in position to take a look at some other players on this team to possibly just maybe get something a little back on top of that. And what I'd be looking at is possibly, maybe if it's not a player, I wouldn't mind maybe trying to, I don't think how deep is this running back?
We need help at running back.
We do, but I think we're going to have to find a different avenue for that path.
He's got Najee and Javonte.
I would be comfortable, honestly, guys, I'd be comfortable getting a 23 second here. And then utilizing my team, I would look elsewhere for a running back, right? Like I might be in position to trade my 23 first here for a really good running back. I think on a team that's rebuilding where we know running back should be a very fluid situation. I think the trade calculator says we lose this trade by 500 points, but I really like. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what we want, right? Like on a trade that you want to get done, you hope that in the eyes of the other team or a trade calculator likes what the other player is getting, because that's such a huge selling point when you screenshot it or talk it out. What do you think, Garrett? What do you think of this trade? Because I like the Derek Carr side, definitely for the team that's here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the thing that puts it over the top is you're going all in, but not to the detriment of your future. Derek Carr's still young enough where I expect him to have at least 5 good seasons left in him. Mark Andrews is in the prime of his career right now, so easily has another probably 4 or 5 good seasons in him as well. So I think that's what I like. It's tough giving up Justin Fields and the ceiling of what he could be, but sometimes we fall in love so much with what could be, when what's actually there is just as good. So I think I like this side, even though it's a little bit less. And if the second round pick was a sticking point, I still think I would be willing to take just Mark Andrews and Derek Carr for that package.
I agree 100%. And
I'm with you guys. You talked me into that.
And we have the upside. And that's the thing. It's not like we're giving up that young quarterback upside, because we're keeping Zach Wilson to hold with that Garrett Wilson stack, right? So we're going Wilson and Wilson here. We're going to start our own law firm on this side of the team. So for me, we still have that. And we have Joe Burrow, who's the anchor of our team, right? Mm-hmm. He's still young, and Derek Carr still got 4 to 5 more years a value here. So if this trade goes through, then we're looking at maybe acquiring a veteran wide receiver for the cheap, maybe even use that 23 second that we just acquired in this trade. And then, like I said, let's look at this team from a contender aspect and see what running back that we can go out there and add to this team. So doing this trade now, if say this trade goes through, right? Like we have Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow, Derek Carr. Our quarterback room already looks a lot stronger. We have the number one fantasy football tight end from last season now on our roster. So our tight end position is strong with still the upside of youth of David Njoku and Pat Freiermuth. That is a really, really good roster as it is.
Some of these, so I flipped it back to contender view, and I'm looking back through these low teams that rank last in contender view. There's some good running backs here. I mean, we're looking at Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker. Then the next one is Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. That's the third worst team.
I'm going, dude. I'm
second
starting
worst team. Obviously,
I'm starting right there. That team's got no quarterbacks.
Where?
That Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Saquon Barkley is an awesome target right now. His value is very much so depressed. And if what happened in Buffalo happens here, that offense really could take off. They've done a lot to invest in that offensive line. They added another first-round pick in that offensive line this year. So it's really about health. But if Saquon Barkley could stay healthy, I don't think him returning to a top 5 back status is out of the realm of possibility. So I think that's a high-end move that you can make, but the cost is so much more depressed than it's been at any point in his career.
So I'm flipping it back to Dynasty View just to take a look at this guy's total team.
Honestly, this team needs to sell Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley right away. Like if we're auditing his team, we'd be like, listen, these guys have to go immediately. He's got good young receivers.
Mike Evans, Robert Woods.
He's got Mike Evans. So I would try to get Mike Evans and Robert Woods and Saquon Barkley right there. So we add that veteran receiver and we get one of those running backs.
All three of them, huh?
No, not all three of them. I'm saying one of the two receivers and the running back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
All right. So this guy obviously is going to want youth and picks.
Dude, we know we can get Robert Woods for the dirt cheap.
Right. He's a great low end upside piece. So yeah, let's put that into the trade calculator. Let's add Saquon Barkley to it, and let's see what kind of move we can make to get Saquon, because even though his value is crazy depressed, it's still not going to come cheap. So we're going to have to pay a hefty price still to grab him.
Throw in.
ETN.
No, we're keeping ETN. We need running back help. This guy needs draft capital. He needs youth. So I am throwing him my 23 first, which I expect now to be a playoff contender to be a little bit later. And now we have 23 seconds. I'm throwing in 23 seconds in there too and see if I get Robert Woods on top.
Yeah, with the hype of the class, you might be able to. Right now, our abstract of it is probably a little lower than it should be, but we're looking at around 2,000 points. So according to this,
we got to change that.
Wouldn't quite be in the realm. The hype on the class is higher than that. So you might be able to get it done. I don't know that. I
gotta give him a player back, right?
Yeah, I don't know that just a first would get it done, a first and a second. Even though I think that value is a little bit off.
So who's expendable
don't know
here
who
on the roster
to add here? Right, that's what I'm trying to figure out. We're getting Robert Woods back, assuming that, or we can add Mike Evans and dish out another one of these younger receiver assets that we have.
If we're dishing out Mike Evans, or if we're getting Mike Evans, we're going to probably have to dish out either Garrett Wilson or Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
Real tough.
We got Mark Andrews upside now, that they offers. So Bateman and Andrews.
That's true. Yeah, we would be kind of pigeonholed to Baltimore's passing attack there.
Yeah, I think that's the move. I think you swip out Robert Woods. You offer Rashad Bateman. You're giving him an extra first. You're giving him an extra second. We're still left with a second, right? We're keeping the other team second.
Correct.
Yeah, so we gained a second in that last deal. I mean, would you guys be willing to give 2 seconds, a first, and Bateman in this deal?
I think I'm opening with this offer. Like, I think his team's bad enough and rebuild enough where, like, listen, man, like, what other offers you get out there? Like, how much longer are you going to if Saquon gets hurt again, you have zero like leverage, right? If Chris, you have zero leverage. So, like, your team isn't going anywhere. You're stuck with 2 running backs that both, one hasn't played essentially in 2 years. One hasn't done anything in 2 years. So, I'm opening, I'm taking the risk here of taking on Saquon Barkley. I'm taking Mike Evans off your hands, who, yes, he scored 1,000 yards every year, but this is Tom Brady's last year. We don't know who the quarterback of the future is going to be there. They just signed Chris Godwin to a multi-year deal. So we don't know how Russell Gage is going to come in there and affect the pass and offense as well, and what that could do for Mike Evans. We saw Mike Evans take a small step back last year and kept his high-end status strictly on touchdown production. So, I mean, not even like BS in his owner. We're taking all the risk with this trade.
Honestly, I don't even know. Like I said, we need to bump up the values on the 23 first, but I don't know that I can go too much more than this, because
I would go no more than this.
And that's the hard part, is like this might just be one of those deals that it just isn't able to be done, especially with the Mike Evans. Maybe if we can put Robert Woods back in it, maybe, but I just don't know that it's going to get done, because as a team that is getting close to being a contender, giving up a young receiver like Bateman, a first and a second, is going to be really tough for me. And I'm getting back Saquon Barkley, which is really risky. Even though I think the upside is there, I don't know that I could give too much more.
So would you say no to this trade, Garrett? Do you think this is a bad trade for this player? Do you think we should pass on this, look elsewhere? Is this an offer? Would you hit the send button right now?
I would hit the send button personally.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, we're adding. I think this team goes from 5th and contender all the way up to maybe 1st or 2nd. I mean, we added Derek Carr, Mark Andrews, Saquon Barkley, and Mike Evans, and we got rid of Elijah Moore, Fant, Bateman, and Fields. I mean, we upgraded this team a ton.
Right.
We still have a ton of youth left on this team.
And honestly, if I was the other team, I think I would accept this trade. Like, maybe I send a counter trying to get another that extra second out of me. I would decline it and come back like, dude, that's my best offer. Like, I wasn't, messing around here. But like, if I'm rebuild, I mean, listen, sometimes when you're rebuilding, sometimes you got to take a slight L for upside, right? Like you're not getting a proven asset, but Rashad Bateman easily has a path where he could be a low end wide receiver 1 to a very high end wide receiver 2. And then you're getting those extra 23 first. Like, and here's the big thing as well. When you're rebuilding, you're making these moves, you're trying to make your team worse. So by getting off Mike Evans and get rid of Saquon Barkley, this is giving me a better chance to get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or Bijan Robinson. Like this is, or Jackson Smith and Jigba. This is making my team worse. Like, my team's already bad. I don't want Mike Evans. I don't want Saquon Barkley. I want Christian McCaffrey, because I'm going to go end up from having pick 1 to having pick 5 or 6. You know what I mean? Like, so he's got to move these assets. And once he makes this move, this opens the avenue for him to trade Christian McCaffrey to get even more first round capital.
Yeah. So real quick, I mean, if we retain Bateman, let's just say the guy doesn't want Bateman. He doesn't want Bateman.
Yeah, but I want that
obviously
stack.
Garrett Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
More valuable.
I want that stack.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, you're still bettering your team, I think. Would you guys do this? Would you hit send on this? It's tough. I know it's tough.
This is a really difficult one, because it
might get it done though.
It might get it done.
It's a counter in your back pocket.
If I
guess because Bateman didn't play last year.
Right. That's my only worry, is we might be valuing Bateman more than, Joe Schmo in your office that you're playing Dynasty with.
Yeah, but
whereas Garrett Wilson's like, oh.
I'm with Garrett, though, that I'm keeping that second if I'm giving Garrett Wilson. But honestly, I wouldn't send that offer, because I'm really Garrett Wilson's the really young receiver in my back pocket who I'm not relying on this year. I'm running the future. And again, the whole reason we traded Elijah Moore was to keep that stack with Zach Wilson. Now, the counter argument then is if Zach Wilson doesn't pan out, then it's gonna be hard for Garrett Wilson to pan out early as well. So you have a double negative there. But
yeah,
I like
just
the Bateman
a
trade.
thought exercise.
I mean, here's what I'm doing. I'm hitting send on that Bateman trade, and then I'm going right back to another team and finding another offer for a running back. Because this is the first team we looked at, and let's see if there's another avenue here where maybe there's a running back we have to give up a little bit less for.
Yeah, is there like a David Montgomery out there that we could look at? A Josh Jacobs maybe that we could look at?
There we go. Right here. Look at that. The worst team right there, Jared. Right there. That worst team has Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm offering that team
Aaron
both
Jones,
seconds.
I think would be a good target.
Yeah, I'm keeping all those players. I'm offering both those seconds we just got for. Ooh, he's got Aaron Jones and Jay Dillon. Let's get both.
That's the thing. He probably is enjoying having both those players. I have a feeling he wouldn't want to give one of them up.
Why? His team's doo-doo butter central. Look at it, all the way down there in the bottom. He's still far in the toilet bowl. He's looking for that corn. That's how down he is in the toilet.
They're owned by two guys too. That's when you know that team's been neglected and they had to bring in a second owner.
Yep. Who, out of curiosity, who's their quarterbacks?
Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Davis Mills, Trubisky, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is contender view.
Why don't we just go ahead and go get Dalvin Cook off of him?
Yeah, I mean,
we could try. Let's see what that trade would look like.
Yeah, but we're not getting that receiver back though. So.
That's going to be a difficult part. We're going to basically have to offer the same kind of trade, and we're only getting a running back.
I don't think so. I think we just offer 23 first straight up.
We're deep at receiver.
We are deep at receiver.
I don't think I would accept that being the Dalvin Cook owner. I would think I could get more.
In season? Yeah, you probably could. I like that Barkley trade we offered more so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think too. Like if we go back, if we go Garrett Wilson, can we get Christian McCaffrey instead of Saquon Barkley?
Like you try to dish the hype of Christian Kirk.
Yep. So know what I'm doing? Like know that team owner, the same going back to that one. I know we're on this team here right now. I'm like, okay, but here, so I'd offer Rashad Bateman the first and second for Saquon and Mike Evans, and then for Christian McCaffrey, Mike Evans, I'm offering Garrett Wilson my first 2 seconds. And maybe something on top for Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? The Christian McCaffrey and Mike Evans.
Let me ask you a crazy question. Let me ask a crazy question because this is normally not something I would do on a team in his position. But with all the uncertainty with the quarterback in San Francisco, and is he going to run the football less than he did last year? Would we consider giving up Debo with our depth at wide receiver to get a Christian McCaffrey?
No, because he's our only for sure thing at receiver.
Right, but with all of the bullets in the gun that we have there.
Yeah, but then we're looking for more upside. Like we're literally trying to get more proven assets here. That's the whole purpose we're trying to do. We have a lot of upside.
Is Debo a sure thing? We're talking about a player that's been injured every year. He's been injured. We don't know what his role is going to be, and it's based all of one good season where he ran the ball a lot, which is the thing he doesn't want to do anymore.
Yeah, but he was extremely efficient when they were throwing the football as well. I don't know, man. I love Debo so much. I could be his long lost father. I mean, I care about him so much. So he's so dynamic.
I feel like this could be a whole video in itself.
I love Debo coming out. I mean, my dream spot, I said before the draft, was the San Francisco 49ers for him. With Kyle Shanahan. So to me, you could literally get
Debo. Saquon and Mike Evans.
How's your shoulder feel?
I think you could get both of those players for Debo.
Yeah, but I think you could. Here's the thing though, Garrett. I'm not trying to go backwards with this team. I'm trying to take a step forward. Like that's
I get you. I'm just saying we're removing the potential risk with Debo, and his value is as high as it will probably ever be. Like he's considered like a top 5 receiver right now.
See, I think we could do more. Again, this is just my opinion. I think we could do more with our draft capital. So again, if we expect this team to compete, we're talking about a late 23 first. But right now, this early in the season, and we said, so we think this team's been a rebuild team, right? Like they've been kind of slowly rebuilding. So this team's had a couple, like they just took Garrett Wilson. People are looking at this team like, wow, he's picked in the top of the draft pretty consistently. But we think he's going to take a step forward, definitely after that Mark Andrews trade, right? So to me, I think our 23 first in the eyes of the league still looks pretty sexy because we've had some pretty good high draft picks up here. And I'm a firm believer in Dynasty. Once I'm ready to make that leap into the playoffs and the contender, this is where my draft capital is going to come to my advantage. And I'm going to start spending that for proven players. I'm going to use this asset.
Who are we targeting now?
We still need a running back.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I like going after Aaron Jones and
I like
AJ
our
Dillon.
running backs. Yeah, I'd offer him a first. Dude, that team's so bad. Again, I'm just offering him that 23 first for Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon straight up just to see if he bites because his team's so bad.
If I can get both, I'd do it, but I wouldn't give it up for either one of them individually.
No, I'd want both.
I think
100%.
a first might get it done for both.
That's what I'm saying. I'm offering the 23 first. Again, this team has probably been picking up pretty high in the draft these last couple of years. The point value is not drastically off in the GM either. And look, we're going to have a 23 first, a late 23 first, and I feel very comfortable about our team. Literally, I feel like the rebuild is done at that point. I do. I feel like we took a big step forward with this team.
No, I'm with you. I wonder if you could get away with doing your 24 first and your 2 seconds, so you could keep your 23 first.
So right now, for the viewers, we're using the trade browser tool. So what this does is it brings in all the trades from the leagues that are synced with our Dynasty GM tool, and it shows you actual trades that have happened. So I added Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Yeah, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in the same trade coming back from one side. There's a lot of trades that have happened in May that have him, and obviously there's a ton of packages and stuff. So here's one with the 23 first.
And these trades are being pulled from sleeper leagues, MFL leagues, FFPC leagues, flea flicker leagues.
Jeez, people are giving up way more than I would think for this package.
People really
here's one that's like ours right here. Joku, 23 first and second for Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I would leave the second out.
Yeah. But I think we're not. Here's the thing though, too. This team that we're offering is the worst team in the league. Right. So they have a little bit less to stand on. And look, I think we're close. Like that offer that we sent is pretty close to all those leagues there in the trade finder that have happened. So I think the first is where I'm opening the door, and let's see what he comes back at with us. We still have a table. We still have a trade out there for Mike Evans. We still have a trade out there for Saquon. This would leave us with 223 seconds in our back pocket to acquire an aged veteran in season, like a receiver, like Robert Woods down the road. When these teams fall off, I think we could probably get an older receiver if we need one.
We gave up one of those seconds with the 23 first in Bateman for Barkley and Mike Evans.
It depends if that trade goes through. So this would give us 2 offers out there for running backs, the Mike Evans and the Saquon Barkley trade. So it comes down to the owner, like, hey, I have others offers out.
Do both this trade and the other trade. Well, I guess we can't because this is our first. Yeah. I got you.
But listen, I do stuff like that all the time. I send multiple offers to multiple teams, and sometimes another team will accept the offer, and it makes the other offer moot. It's just I send offers that I'm comfortable with, and I'm good either way it goes. Like I'm almost happy that I get the Aaron Jones AJ Dillon deal because I get to keep that second and I get to keep Bateman.
Right.
Yeah.
And those guys both together offer just as much upside as Saquon Barkley. Yes, we're not getting Mike Evans, but I think that still leaves a road, an avenue to acquire a receiver.
Yeah. Well, I think we put
a
this
running
team
back room so much stronger. Because even the running backs aren't bad.
I think we put this team in a pretty damn good position to compete right away while still not getting rid of the upside in the youth. So, I mean, what do you guys think? I think we've presented 3 really good trades here for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've presented some good options. I think the Mark Andrews deal is the slam dunk one. That's the type of player that when you can acquire a tight end of his caliber that is still, pretty young overall, that's the ticket there for a team like this, because it's tough. As much as I, love Mike Evans or, some of those deals, you're got to make sure that you are a legitimate contender for those guys. Mark Andrews, even if you get into week 6 and you're 2-4, you're like, crap, this has not gone how I planned at all. Okay, you still have a young tight end that you can build around on your team. So I think that's really the ticket one right there.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. If all those, now again, if the big word is if all those trades go through. And what's nice is so far, at least a couple of team audits that we've done, the owners have proposed those trades and been able to make the trades that we put out there, which is really nice. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find avenues that have realistic trades here. And this is where the GM comes to your benefit, right? Like, you went in there, Jared, and looked at the trade browser. Those are real trades being made in real time. Those are all trades that were made yesterday. You know what I mean? So this is where the GM can help you. This league analyzer right here to give you this view to find, nothing's worse than going back and looking at your, like, okay, I need a wide receiver, I need a running back. Like, looking through all these teams, we streamline that for you. The trade calculator, as you saw, it brings up your league and all those league assets. So you don't have to go through and wonder what players he has on his roster. They're all there for you in your trade calculator. And you can see you have your draft picks. And if you think this looks good now, we have the Dynasty GM 2.0 rolling out in August. And this is getting a major facelift. And if you want to get in on this, right, you want to get the GM and you want to get all that Dynasty Nerds got to offer, because we have so much more to offer than just this tool. This is one of the very special things that you get by joining the Nerd Herd. The Nerd Herd is us, DynastyNerds.com. For the price of a cup of coffee a month, you can join the Nerd Herd, get all access to this Dynasty GM, and upload all your teams from MFL, Flea Flicker, FFPC, Sleeper, and we have more leagues coming. And you can manually upload your teams in a matter of minutes as well. Top of that, you get the Dynasty Nerds film room to grind all this rookie tape. We have all 22 tape of all the rookies coming in. You get the Dynasty Nerds skill, the Dynasty Nerds nerd score. You get an extra bonus podcast. You get so much more access to our Discord channel. And right now, for our Audit viewing listeners only, if you use the promo code Audit, we're giving you 15% off any membership you want in DynastyNerds.com. Let's take a step together. Let's make our teams better. Let's get that hunt, just like Juneau73, to get closer to that Dynasty Fantasy Football Championship. We're not trying to finish second place here. Nobody remembers second place. We're trying to be Dynasty Fantasy Football champions, and that's exactly what the Dynasty GM and the Nerd Herd is going to help you do. Use that promo code Audit. Get in there. Let's win some strips. Let's talk Dynasty Fantasy Football. Let's use this tool, and let's make things happen.
Juneau73, you've been audited.